Hello traders, welcome to Pivotal Traders. So today we'll be discussing about the month close for the Bank Nifty, and as much is the importance for us for the weekly expiry, the weekly close is also important. So Friday becomes a very crucial factor for us to analyze and to plan the next week. And before everything else, we're gonna be discussing about our performance of the weekly expiry. So on the weekly expiry, as you can see on the chart, we discussed and made a claim that in the event of a gap up opening, a bullish move is to be maintained here, and we can expect some kind of volatility being a monthly expiry. There can be a volatility in the market. So let's just play it out and see what happened in the market exactly on Thursday. So as you see here that on Thursday the expiry was well within the range here, and what we see here is that even the Friday comes to be within the range of the black lines, and that's how we perform, where we claimed that if there will be gap up opening on Thursday, the Bank Nifty should maintain a bullish move. So exactly you can see that a bifurcation, if you can see here, if I can zoom it for you. So you see up till here is Thursday. So you can see that a bullish move was maintained here. So we did saw some kind of volatility, but overall the expiry was a typical one. It was a kind of a doji formation if you see on the daily chart, and there was a bit of a volatility in it because it was a monthly expiry. So that was exactly as per the plan, and it went very well. So if I show you my Telegram channel, so on the expiry day we minted around 48,000, and today was Friday, we made something around 31,000 was the update few moments ago, and finally we closed with 33,000 profit today on Friday. So all this was last 2 days of action which was important for us. So today also becomes important for us because we're gonna be discussing about the fashion in which the Bank Nifty performed. So the fashion was very simple, that yesterday we saw, so this becomes our expiry range, the black line, and it becomes valid even for the Friday because it was not touched yesterday. So it becomes valid for us. And if you see today, there was a range which was marked in the first candle itself, that this would be the range for today's action. And what I see here is that it spent a lot of time here, and almost the time horizon was somewhat between 3 hours or so. You can see it spent 3 hours within 100 points range. So very tight range was maintained here with the Bank Nifty, and even though this candle depicted a kind of a demand here as forming a lower wick here, there was a bit of demand here, but it was not continued. So it spent a couple of time in filling up the gaps and just trying to revolve around it. And if the market had to go down, it would have done very easily because this candle was purely bearish, and it was even continued that. But the moment it was continued, the kind of excitement for the from the bear side was fading away. So we didn't see much of an excitement from the bears to pull the market towards a downward trend. And that's what we see, that there was a tug of war going on, and it was lasting till 3 hours, and finally it broke this range and tried to take some support here. So a very simple price action technique was deployed here, and many of you must have been taken away by this huge upside move. And finally it was just closing around the range where it was trying to spend much of its time. So that was the whole story around the Friday's movement, and which was very simple price action technique. There was a gap up opening, so gap filling happened, and the Bank Nifty spent a couple of time around revolving around the gaps, and just made some typical kind of volatility. So what I planned today was that I was planning that 34,800 would be a good straddle point to short. So I shorted 34,800, but when I saw that there was a downside move here on the Bank Nifty, the downside move, then what I did is I additionally started selling 34,500 puts on this side, 34,500 puts, and 35,000 call I was selling. So that was how I managed Friday today, and I made profit. And if we are to look at the candles now, if we are to look and make some judgment about the weekly candle here, then we to see that though there is a pendency in case of a failed auction. So failed auction generally refer to a point where there are two buyers, or you can say two winners at the same price level, and both are struggling to come out as a single winner. So a kind of a incompleteness is there in the market, which was still incomplete, but nevertheless you can see that here this becomes a good failed auction point. So if the market had to go on the upside, so on the weekly front it has shown this demand here, and it was not shown only this week. You can see in the previous week also a demand was shown here. You see how much demand was shown. Let me just zoom it for you. So you see here how much demand was shown in the previous week, and even though this demand was shown, it was not enough to lift it upwards. So if the bank nifty was showing that much kind of genuinity towards showing its demand, it must have been continued, and this week close should have been over and above this. But we see that a large downside move, in fact reversing this demand, happened, and that was again negated by the bulls. So the bulls are not ready to get the market below this point level, so below this, even below the low of this candle, this last week candle. So what we see here is there is a incompleteness in terms of price action. So what we can expect for the next week is that the market can revolve around here and can make a spike here and quickly make a move on the upside. So as soon as it makes a spike here, what I intend to say here is, let me just clarify. What I intend to say here is that as soon as it makes a spike here, there will be a completeness in terms of the auction. So if there will be a completeness in terms of the auction, it becomes very easy. It clears the road for the bank nifty to jack on the upside. So I would be expecting for this failed auction to get completed as soon as possible in the next week. And if there will be some kind of movement which signifies that the Dow Jones theory, the price action theory, is forming higher high, at least on the 50 minutes chart front, so we can expect that the market can make a road to a next high. So that would be the plan for the bank nifty on the weekly front. So if we are to look on the monthly chart now, let's see the monthly chart. So the monthly chart also looks very confusing, nothing has been done so far. So you can see that a trend is being maintained here. This trend is being getting followed. So this trend was broken once, so it was broken, then a trap kind of situation happened here, and again it regained its momentum to make a high, and now it's kind of struggling here to maintain its hegemony on the higher side. So if it even fails to maintain till mid of the next month, then we can see a large downside move. But we cannot negate the fact that the kind of a failed auction is lying over there. If that failed auction is completed, a large upside move can also be there. So a lot many possibilities are arising there, but the best possibility is the one which I discussed on the weekly front. So if we are not to go on the monthly front, on the weekly front we can see that a spike can happen here, and a completeness in terms of the auction can take the market on the higher side, if and only if the market forms a higher high and higher low kind of situation. So that's it guys, I hope you like the videos. Do subscribe, comment and share amongst your peers. Thank you.